Hey warrior, inside each of us lies an invisible, silent boundary. This line separates your true self from the image the world wants you to become. Most of us unknowingly cross this boundary without realizing it. We bend, shrink, and confine ourselves just to be accepted, liked, or recognized, and it all begins very small. You let someone interrupt and simply smile awkwardly. You agree to things you don't truly believe in, just to keep the peace. You say it's okay when it's not, just to avoid bothering others. Over time, these habits shape how you live. Until one day, you realize you're no longer living for yourself, you're living to keep others comfortable. The Stoics warned us about this long ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "I am never ceasing to be amazed. We all love ourselves more than anyone else, yet care more about others' opinions than our own. On one hand, we claim to value ourselves. On the other, we trade our self-respect for tiny fragments of approval. Reflect on this deeply. How many times have you left a conversation replaying words you wish you had said? How often have you swallowed your feelings to avoid seeming difficult? That's where the trouble starts. When you diminish yourself, pretending to be weaker, smaller, or less capable than you are, you teach the world how to treat you. And the truth is, the world rarely treats you better than you demand. The Stoic path isn't about arrogance or becoming cold and unreachable. It's about rooting yourself so deeply in your true nature that no one can tear you down without your permission. What matters most in life isn't fame or wealth. It's living so that you matter to yourself first. There is an inner rule you must never break. Not for love, not for money, not for belonging. And here lies a hard truth: when you start lowering yourself for others, you stop respecting yourself. When self-respect fades, you invite others to do the same. The Stoics saw this as a matter of moral integrity. Epictetus taught that you should never trade your integrity for anything that isn't truly valuable. If something costs you your self-respect, it's too high a price, no matter the promise. In this video, we will explore 5 Stoic lessons that help you never lower yourself again. These aren't empty words. These are practical truths, clear and humane, that you can apply in your own life. Starting now, you will learn how to stand firm without aggression, honor your voice without constant validation, and become someone who commands silent respect. The power of Stoicism lies not just in telling you what to do, but in showing why it matters. When you grasp this philosophy, you realize it's not about winning or losing in social situations. It's about protecting the most important relationship you have, your relationship with yourself. Imagine for a moment a version of yourself who never feels the need to justify your worth. Someone who doesn't shrink in the face of challenge. A person who knows when to stay silent, when to speak up, and when to walk away if respect disappears. That version of you isn't a fantasy. It's a skill you can build, but only if you stop diminishing yourself and start living by a rule no one can break for you. By the end of this video, you will have 5 clear Stoic lessons as pillars for inner strength, dignity, and self-worth. These lessons aren't about impressing others. They're about earning respect by never betraying yourself. Remember, the respect you give yourself sets the price the world must pay when dealing with you. Before we begin, I want you to make a promise, not to me, but to yourself. Promise that from today on, you will no longer make yourself small for those who never grow for you. If you're ready, stay with me until the end. Don't skip any part, because each lesson builds on the one before. If this message resonates with you, Please like this video. Leave a comment. Share it with someone losing their self-respect. And subscribe so we can walk this path together. If you're with me, comment, "Today, I affirm my worth." First, stop over-explaining yourself to others. One of the quickest ways to diminish yourself without realizing it is to over-justify your actions, decisions, or even dreams. You might think it's polite, or that you just want to be understood, but the truth is, every time you explain too much, you give away your power. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught if you want to be a writer, just write. He didn't say, if you want to be a writer, explain to everyone why you write, so they accept you. The Stoics understood that our actions should speak for themselves. The more you explain, the more you invite others to find flaws in your reasons, question your motives, and plant doubt in your mind. Over-explaining often comes from insecurity, the subtle belief that your choices hold no value until someone else agrees with them. This is lowering yourself to the point of needing permission to be yourself. Yet, in doing so, you give others control. You tell the world, "I don't fully trust my own judgment unless you confirm it." This is a hard truth to accept. Not everyone will agree with your decisions. Not everyone will understand them. And that is perfectly fine. You owe your life no explanations to others. If someone dislikes what you do, that is their emotional issue to work through, not your problem to fix. Reflect on how much time and energy you've wasted trying to justify your path to those who don't walk it with you. You explain why you left a job, ended a relationship, changed your lifestyle, or pursued something new. Yet, half the people you explain to aren't there when you stumble. Stoicism teaches us that peace comes from focusing on what's within your control. Other people's opinions are not. Every moment spent trying to make someone understand you is a moment taken from living authentically. When you stop over-explaining, you send a clear message. I trust myself enough to move forward without your approval. This is a powerful form of self-respect. It doesn't require arrogance, just clarity. You don't need to be rude. You don't have to push others away. But you must realize your life is not a courtroom where every decision must be defended before a jury. Look at those with quiet confidence. They don't flood you with endless reasons for their actions. They simply act. And because they act without explanation, people naturally respect them more. It's important to understand that over-explaining isn't just about talking too much. It lowers your standing. Imagine presenting an idea at a meeting. If you immediately offer a string of justifications, it signals uncertainty. But if you present your idea simply and stop there, you project confidence. Stoicism makes this simple. Know your values. Make decisions based on them. Let your actions speak louder than your explanations. When you stand firm on what matters, you don't need to justify every choice. People may still judge, but their judgments will bounce off a stronger version of you. The next time you feel the urge to explain yourself to someone who doesn't need it, pause. Ask yourself, is their understanding truly necessary for me to move forward? If the answer is no, your silence will be more powerful than any explanation. Seneca said, "Associate with those who can make you better." Notice he didn't say, "Associate with those who always understand you." Not everyone will understand you, and that's not required. What matters is that you understand yourself. Those who constantly explain themselves have already given away their value to others. People who act with steady resolve become important not because others declare it, but because they stop living to seek outside approval. If you want to stop diminishing yourself, start here. Cut back on explanations. Speak when necessary. Stand firm in your decisions without needing an audience's applause. Your life will instantly feel lighter, and your presence will grow stronger. Remember, important people don't talk about how important they are. They live in a way that makes it undeniable. Now, take a moment and type this below. If you're ready to trust yourself more, I no longer explain my value. Second, never compete for someone's attention. One of the worst ways to diminish yourself is chasing after those who don't appreciate your presence, whether in friendships, love, or work. We overwork ourselves, not for our goals, but just to be noticed, chosen, or to feel important to someone. This is a painful truth. When you compete for someone's attention, you're silently telling them their acceptance is worth more than your dignity. And when you set that tone, they will believe it. The Stoics saw this clearly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul is dyed by its thoughts. If your thoughts revolve around, how do I get their attention? How do I prove my worth to them? Your actions will reflect desperation. And desperation is the quickest way to be seen as less valuable. This is vital to understand. Genuine respect and true connection cannot be forced. If someone sees your value, they will act accordingly without you having to perform. Otherwise, your efforts will never be enough because they do not view you through the lens of your true worth. When you chase attention, you place yourself in a spiritual auction where your value is up for bid. You are giving others the power to decide whether you win or lose. And that is a dangerous place to be. Stoics would say you are allowing outside forces to disturb your inner peace. This is the trap. Sometimes you catch their attention briefly. They might respond unexpectedly, show interest, or offer praise. But that is only temporary because the foundation is not respect. It is your relentless effort. The moment you stop trying, that connection fades, and you are left chasing again. This cycle drains your energy. It also teaches you to judge yourself by the attention you receive instead of the value you provide. The Stoic approach is to step away from that race entirely. Never step into that game. If someone makes you feel you have to fight for their time or recognition, that's a clear sign they don't value you as much as you deserve. Think about the most respected people you know. They don't sit around wondering how to get attention. They focus on their mission, principles, and personal growth. And because of that, people naturally gravitate toward them. Attention comes as a result of living with purpose, not as a goal itself. Instead of asking how to get their attention, ask yourself if you truly want attention from someone who doesn't appreciate you without you having to try. Seeing it this way makes the answer much clearer. Epictetus taught, if you want to improve, be prepared to be seen as foolish or silly. In other words, be willing to let others misunderstand your worth while you quietly build it. The right people will recognize this without you needing to advertise. This doesn't mean becoming cold or distant. It means you stop performing to please others. You can still engage. You can still care. But stop linking your self-worth to whether they notice you or not. This is crucial. Others sense when you're trying to win their favor, even if you hide it behind jokes, help, or over-involvement. That energy remains. And energy communicates more than words. When you stop competing for attention, something extraordinary happens. You reclaim your power. You move from "please notice me" to "I know who I am, and I won't shrink just to be seen." Over time, the right people will notice you without effort. Surprisingly, those who ignored you before will wonder why you stopped trying. That's when you realize attention is actually cheap. What you truly need is respect, and you only earn it by refusing to beg for it. If you want to live as someone important, understand that importance isn't granted by others' eyes. It's something you affirm within your own mind first. So stop chasing a race you never signed up for. Stand firm. Let those who want to pass you by pass. You have a different destination. Thirdly, learn to leave without warning. Most believe strength means fighting, proving yourself, or winning arguments. But in reality, one of the purest forms of strength is walking away without notice, warning, or explaining your reasons. When you lower yourself, it's often because you've stayed too long where you don't belong. You stay hoping they'll change. You stay wanting them to finally see your worth. You stay because you don't want to appear like you gave up. But the truth is, staying in situations that drain you isn't loyalty. It is a betrayal of yourself. The Stoics know that sometimes the bravest act is to let go. Senetzarult. Associate with those who make you better. Welcome those you can also improve. The process is mutual, for we learn when we teach. Pay close attention to his words. If a relationship doesn't help you grow, improve your life, or character, it's not worth holding on to. Leaving isn't cold-hearted. It's protecting your mind, dignity, and future. This is why leaving without warning is important. If you warn before you leave, "I will go if nothing changes," you give them a chance to manipulate that moment. They may promise temporarily, act differently for a while, or say exactly what you want to hear to keep you. Then everything falls back into the same toxic loop. Leaving quietly means you've decided you've given enough. You don't need them to understand, agree, or approve. You recognize your energy is too precious to explain why you choose peace over chaos. Think of the dignity in silence. No begging. No drama. No final speech to make them understand. Just action. You leave. You move forward. You reclaim your space. Those who truly care will notice and approach sincerely. Those who don't care won't. And that's how you know who truly belongs in your life. Stoicism teaches us not to be controlled by what we cannot control. You can't control whether others respect, treat well, or value your presence. But you can control whether you stay in that environment. And when you choose to walk away, you prove to yourself that you value your own worth. Leaving without warning also changes you internally. It teaches you to rely on your own standards, not on others' reactions. It strengthens the muscle of self-respect. It shows you that you do not need permission to leave behind what harms you. This act sends a clear message not only to them, but also to yourself. You will not accept being treated below your value. This doesn't mean cutting ties impulsively over minor mistakes. It means recognizing recurring patterns. If someone repeatedly shows they don't respect you, trust that truth. And when you accept this, you act without waiting for them to suddenly change. This mindset applies beyond relationships. It's just as important at work, among friends, and any environment that consistently undermines your worth. You don't need to announce it publicly or explain at length. You simply step away and move towards spaces where you are respected and valued. The strength of this principle is its quiet dignity. People begin to see that you don't cling, don't force your way where you don't belong, and don't beg for acceptance. Paradoxically, this earns you greater respect. Marcus Aurelius once stated simply, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who injured you." In other words, you don't need to argue, fight, or respond to disrespect. You rise above it by removing yourself from their reach. Remember this whenever you choose to leave something that falls below your standards. You lose nothing. You are protecting what is most precious, yourself. I want you to leave this affirmation in the comments. My silence is my strength. Number 4. Protect your time as you protect gold and silver. Lowering yourself is not just about words or relationships. Sometimes it's how you allow your time to be wasted. When you give away your hours carelessly, you silently tell the world, your life isn't worth defending. Stoic philosophers understood that time is life itself. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have little time, but that we waste much. Every minute you spend is a piece of your life you can never reclaim." Yet, how often do you give your time to those and things that drain you? How often do you commit out of guilt, habit, or fear of disappointing others, only to regret it later? Treating time as endless invites others to treat it the same. They will call on you anytime, ask you to do what they could do themselves, expecting you always to be available. If you always say yes, they will never truly appreciate your presence because you've made it cheap. Protecting your time doesn't mean being selfish or closed off. It means understanding that saying yes to one thing means saying no to another. Without intention, you may be denying your own growth, peace, and dreams. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what's within our control, and time is one of the few things you can control. You decide where to place your time, who to give it to, and what to create with it. Using time wisely is a sign of self-respect. Imagine someone gave you $86,400 and asked you to spend it all in one day. You would be careful. You wouldn't give money to strangers or buy things you don't value. Yet, every day, you receive 86,400 seconds. Most people spend them as if they were worthless. When you don't value your time, you end up with regret. Looking back, you realize you spent hours, days, even years on things that didn't serve you. Stoic philosophers call this a moral failure, not because you lived poorly, but because you lived without awareness. Protecting your time requires clear boundaries. You must feel comfortable saying no without needing to justify yourself. You must set aside time for yourself and treat it as an important appointment because you are important. This also means removing time wasters from your life. Not just people, but habits too: endless scrolling, pointless arguments, taking on too many tasks you don't care about. These are ways you lower your own value without realizing it. You may think 20 minutes here, an hour there, but those minutes add up to a life spent pouring energy into things that don't matter. When you protect your time, you'll notice something powerful. Others begin to respect your time as well. If they know you don't waste your time, they won't easily waste yours. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." Here, being good means using your time wisely. Spend it on what strengthens you, brings peace, and aligns with your values. Don't lower yourself by always being available for things that pull you away from the life you want. Before committing to anything, ask yourself, if this were my last week alive, would I still want to spend time on this? If the answer is no, think carefully before agreeing. The more intentional you are with your time, the more meaningful your life becomes. And when life is meaningful, you tolerate less of what steals that time away. So protect your time as you would protect gold. It's the only asset you cannot earn back. When you are ready to treat time as a treasure to guard, tell those around you, my time is priceless. I use it with clear purpose. Speak fewer words, but make them count. One way we diminish ourselves is by talking too much, especially when it's just to fill silence, show off, or seek approval. Words have power, but scattered and constant talking loses its weight. Stoics value restraint deeply. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, believed speech should serve truth and purpose, not ego or impulse. Epictetus also taught, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we may listen twice as much as we speak. The more you speak, the more chances you give for misunderstanding, distortion, or hasty judgment. More importantly, talking without purpose only diminishes the value of your voice. Consider those you respect most. They aren't usually the ones filling every conversation. They listen carefully and observe before speaking precisely. When they speak, you pay attention because they don't waste words. When you speak less, your words naturally carry more weight. People will notice that whenever you speak, it's worth hearing. This creates a quiet form of importance, not because you hide to manipulate, but because you speak with intention. Speaking less also gives you time to think. Many lose respect by speaking in anger, making empty promises, or revealing things they later regret. Stoics believe in pausing between stimulus and response, giving the mind time to filter out what's unnecessary before acting or speaking. This is a vital connection to never lowering yourself again. When you speak without purpose, you're often trying to prove something. You try to fill the silence so others won't overlook you. But that's fear. Fear of being ignored, misunderstood, or forgotten. The truth is, people remember silence more than noise. They remember those who stay calm amid chaos, who don't constantly defend themselves, who don't waste energy explaining endlessly or gossiping. This doesn't mean becoming cold or distant. It means letting your silence carry your strength. When you no longer need to speak constantly, your actions, presence, and consistency will speak for you. Speaking less is an act of discipline, and discipline shows self-respect. It tells the world you don't need to display everything to prove your worth. You'll see this in what I choose to share. Another benefit is that you control your own story. The less you reveal, the less others can control the narrative about you. You decide what to share, when, and with whom. This kind of self-control naturally earns respect. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." It's a simple filter act. Only when it's right. Speak only when it's true. Imagine if every word you said passed through that filter. You would become stronger, clearer, and more profound in your communication. Practically, here's how to apply this. Before speaking, pause briefly. Ask yourself, is this necessary? Does it add value? Listen actively, not just to respond, but to understand. Replace meaningless words with purposeful presence. Let your calm confidence fill the space, not noise. Remember, silence can be an answer, a boundary, and a statement all at once. When you master the art of speaking less but meaning more, you stop chasing influence and begin attracting it naturally. People will listen attentively to you, and when you speak, your words carry the weight of someone who knows their worth. Instead of filling the room with noise to feel important, step into the power of intentional silence. Let others sense your strength through your presence before they hear your voice. If you're ready to speak with strength and purpose, share below. My silence holds power. My words carry weight. Lowering yourself rarely happens suddenly. It erodes slowly over time. A small compromise here, a quiet surrender there, an extra effort for those who never lend a hand. Over time, these moments accumulate, and you look in the mirror wondering why you feel invisible. Stoics remind us that importance doesn't come from titles, applause, or who speaks loudest. It comes from living by principles you never betray. It comes from confidently walking with the silent certainty that your value is not negotiable. Each lesson is a reminder that respect starts with yourself. If you want others to see you as important, first decide that you are important and live that truth without ever begging for it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Understanding this gives you true strength. This is the essence. You cannot control how others see you, but you can control how you see yourself. When you choose never to diminish your own worth, the world will adjust accordingly. If you've watched this video to the end, remember, your value is not something others can give or take away. It belongs to you to protect, live by, and honor. Please like this video. Share it. Leave your thoughts in the comments. And subscribe for deeper Stoic lessons.